Welcome to the Full Tracy Money I Do commentary. This is Owen Tracy recording. It's 3:34 p.m. that is Central Time. Today is January 27th. Today was pretty momentous in terms of the stock market action. We had a very swift decline in anything that's really attached to the AI infrastructure sector. AI services are continuing to do better. And certainly it looks like there's a rotation going on even within that very narrow band of the market. When then we think about the wider market, it was really quiet, so that the equal weight S&P 500, for example, was outperforming by quite a considerable margin because it was the largest cap stocks were down today. And this is directly in response to the rising acceptance, or the rising, I guess, realization that DeepSeek in China is able to do a lot of what other major companies in the West can do with fewer resources. But I think it's also important to emphasize that there's an enormous difference between writing an essay and then hitting copy and paste and editing it. And then we can think about what has happened in hardware over the last several years. I remember 5 or 6 years ago, perhaps maybe even longer, there was the innovation, the hoverboard, which were these two-wheeled automated skateboards you could stand on top of, lean forward, lean back. You could just direct which way you were going to go. The person who came up with it didn't even get to production before the copyright had been, and the plans had been copied in China, and then they went into mass production. Then the reason that it started to really make headlines was because they started exploding because of the batteries. But what it very clearly helped to emphasize is that there was a great deal of cash was put into developing a product, and then it was immediately copied in China. Now, what Chinese researchers and software engineers have done is not quite on that scale this time around, but it is very much a reflection of what they had to do in order to circumvent some of the limitations and controls that have been imposed upon them by the US sanctions. NVIDIA has been selling these chips into China that were constrained in what they were able to do. So it necessitated that Chinese researchers had to work from first principles, and they avoided using NVIDIA's way of communicating, their CUDA software, which allowed the chips to communicate with one another, and instead they wrote their own. And that has greatly enhanced the efficiency with which they're able to work. Now, this raises some